Hey guys, welcome to another build order tutorial. This time it's for the Protoss out there versus Zerg. This is one of the bread and butter builds that you can learn and pretty much do every game, and with slight adjustments to, vary up your playstyle, and it'll be pretty good. It's the Archon drop, and it's shown by Zest. This guy is pretty much the best pro to watch for this because he almost always does it. So let's get started. Send that probe to the low ground. Put a pylon. Bring the probe back down to the low grounds. As soon as the pylon is done, chrono your nexus, and then build a gateway on 16 and use that probe to go and scout. Set up an assimilator. You're going to put a probe into that gas and then rally the other two in. Send a probe to the low ground again. Should be scouting the main base of the Zerg now. Build your nexus. Cybernetics core. You should be on the same supply. I'll build a gas at 21. .22 pylon. Put two guys into that other gas and then rally in the third one. Chrono the adept. You start at your gateway. Start a stargate, 25 supply. Start warpgate. Get another adept and shade the first one across the map. Start building probes from both nexus and chrono one of the nexus. Chrono a phoenix from the stargate. At around 3 minutes, you should be scouting the Zerg again with an adept shade. Searching for that third base as well as the drone count. Build a pylon. At this point, do not get supply blocked. That's on you. 41 oracle. Right after that phoenix, chrono that too. And then build two gases. Both gases taken at that natural. Build a robo at the front of the wall to complete your wall. Unless you're on a different map, and otherwise, hopefully you know the wall. Build a Twilight Council. The Oracle should be your third scout in this game, scouting the third base as well as the natural. At around 52 supply, build 3 gateways. Warp gate is now done, so go ahead and change that gateway into a warp gate. Build a warp prism from the robo, chrono the warp prism, build a single zealot to block that wall. Then start charge and add that Templar archives. Start setting up your third base with a pylon. Bring your adepts over there. Put them in the, nook of a mineral patch. Build your nexus around 5 minutes. Build a forge and a shield battery at that third. Your gateway should be done and turned to warp gates to build 4 high templars with your warp prism, and then morph them into archons. Get an observer. At this point, try and do as much damage as possible with the warp prism without actually overextending with it. Should hit around 530. Start warping in zealots whenever you can. Start your immortal production in chrono, that first immortal. Start your +1 attack on the forge. Again, keep warping in zealots whenever possible. And keeping tags on the Zerg army, either with the Archon Warp Prism drop or with the Oracle's Revelation. Continue building immortals and try and use chrono whenever possible on that. Build 2 more gateways and take your gases at your third, both of them. From here on out, just macro. Get Storm, get a 4th base, continue upgrades with the +2 attack, and hopefully you'll win. Let's go to the build discussion. The strengths of this build is that it's a standard build that can be adapted for more aggression or more of a macro focus. There's a lot of varieties out there that I'm sure you'll see in professional games where they get charged faster, dedicate more to zealots. It's just flexible, but also a good bread and butter build to learn from if you're starting to learn Protoss versus Zerg. This provides good scouting and survivability, which is another reason why it's a good build just overall. You have the Warp Prism for scouting, you have the Oracle for scouting, for Revelation, you have the Adept and the Probe later on to make sure that you can scout anything too cheesy. And then survivability, you just have some stronger units. You can maybe pump out a Void Ray if you think there's a roach attack on the way, or just double wall and try and warp in more Adepts if there's a Ling Rush on the way. It just has a lot of good tools. And then last, it has good harassment options, of course, with, again, the Oracle Phoenix or with the Warp Prism, either with the Archons or maybe even later on, you just start warping in Zealots or DTs. There's just a lot of good things about this build if you can actually get off without a hitch. Now, the weaknesses are pretty much about that, the whole idea of you have to be kind of good already to be able to get the most out of this build, but I guess, when isn't that true? So you require constant micro to be the most effective. You got to keep that Warp Prism constantly searching for creep tumors and queens and hydras to pick off. And then if you lose the Warp Prism because you're so focused on, trying to do something with it, then it just completely takes away any pressure that you can put on. It's pretty much a disaster if you lose that Warp Prism within the first 1 or 2 minutes that you have it. It also, the relatively fast third, in this version, you can get some faster ones, you can get some much later ones, can be canceled with a Ling Swell. It's basically a concern for Protoss with any build, though, if you're going to get a third. And, you just got to try and make sure to keep track of how many Lings they've produced, maybe keep the Oracle back at home, something like that to make sure they don't get a free cancel or, a kill on that Nexus. Now, for tips and tricks. Hey, there it is. Keep Oracle the Third to help against Ling Floods. If you can't quite track down what they're doing, then, maybe just use the Warp Prism for scouting and then the Oracle back at home, or vice versa. Archons and Warp Prism can be very good to survive against bigger attacks, maybe than just a Ling Swell. Ultimately, having the Oracle Warp Prism is better than doing a little damage and letting it die. Damage is good, but scouting and pressure is better. So, yeah, you do want to look like Zest and feel like Zest and kill a bunch of queens and drones with the Archons, but you want to be able to kind of threaten them more than actually do damage. Usually just the guise of being able to do something is going to make the Zerg a little more reserved. The merge of the archons is actually something that Zergs are going to be searching for, so try and merge your archons behind a mineral line or against a wall to help winglings scout for that. Otherwise, they can get full surrounds and actually kill your archons before they're able to do anything back. Use the Observer and Archons to clear up creep if no other damage can be done. That shouldn't be undervalued. Zest got a pretty fast Observer right after that Warp Prism, and that's exactly what he did, because he couldn't find much other damage to do. And lastly, if you think the Zerg is being greedy, you can warp in Zealots offensively. This version of the build doesn't really focus so much on doing that type of attack. It's definitely not all-in either. But you can look up different builds that add gateways before the third base, or you can just decide they're being way too greedy and try and do something about it. And of course, if you like this content, then consider following me on this YouTube channel, on Twitter, on Twitch, on Instagram, supporting my Patreon, whatever. And also, go ahead and check out my other videos. Thanks for watching.